All righty. Okay, well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to SANDAG's annual Progress Report webinar, which we are co-hosting with HCD. We're happy to be hosting this webinar again, I believe, for the third year in a row now. So really excited to have those returning and those that are new. My name is Carrie Simmons, and I'm an associate regional planner at SANDAG, and I'm the project manager for SANDAG's local jurisdiction housing technical assistance program. And again, thanks for taking the time to join us. Your participation is invaluable today, and I really encourage everybody to actively engage and ask questions and really interact with our presenters, because chances are other folks have the same questions that you might have today. And with that, I'm keeping this brief and going to hand things over to Matt Gelman from Ascent Environmental, who is going to lead us into today's session. So take it away, Matt.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Just a bit of housekeeping. We are going to have a presentation from HCD today to go over changes to the APR form this year, as well as get you familiar with HCD Connect and answer your questions. If you have questions today, please feel free to put them in the chat. Our team will do our best to respond in the chat. And we will also have some discussion towards the end of the hour today to answer some of those questions from the chat and to have any discussion. So you should be able to unmute yourself and ask your questions to our team when we get to that point. After HCD's presentation, we will just kind of highlight some of the other technical assistance we're offering related to APRs and other technical assistance, and then we'll wrap up. So pretty straightforward agenda today. And before I keep going, I'm assuming everyone can see my screen still. Is that true? Kevin, Chelsea, can you guys see it? All right, good. With that, I will turn it over to you, Kevin, to lead us in the presentation and for your HCD team to get us up to speed on APR. So thank you, Kevin. Take it away.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Sandag, for hosting. Good morning, y'all. Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm Kevin Rolfness at HCD, specialist working on APRs. And here to talk about the 2024 APR form. I'm going to preview some upcoming changes as well, and then I'll be talking about the new online portal for submitting APRs, also for housing elements and sites inventory. But for now, we'll focus on APRs. So for the 2024 form, still the Excel spreadsheet, mostly unchanged, which is the good news. References to SB 35 were changed to SB 423. For SB 9 lot splits, we heard from a lot of jurisdictions last year that they had applications for SB 9 lot splits that didn't necessarily have a unit involved. So we changed that to where you don't have to report a unit. We were telling them, hey, just report a minimum 1 unit. So you can put 0 there. For SB 9 lot splits. We updated the permitting data and planning period data in Table B, which should populate once you put in your jurisdiction, and you may have to click Save. But then you should see that in Table B. And then some Table D, that's the program, Housing Element Programs tab. We increased the character limit, added more rows by default. You can also have more if you need it. And then we got rid of this pesky general comments cell that was causing problems with our data validation. Another thing to preview, so these are not, I'm going to mention some changes for the upcoming year, that'd be the 2025 APR due in 2026. But this is stuff we want that you should have on your radar. There's AB 2580, that's historic districts. That's something you may want to start tracking for the next year, along with AB 2667 is a change regarding opportunity zones and some reporting requirements in the APR there. That's something you'll want to have on your radar for the following year. And that's one where we're really looking at tools to help jurisdictions with that. And with both of these, we'll be, we'll have some proactive outreach and technical assistance and let you know what we're thinking there. And then there's AB 3093. That was changes to the income categories. That's mostly a 7th cycle change, so you won't have to worry about that. We heard some rumors going around that folks thought there might be some re-reporting for previous years. That's not our current interpretation of that. And so we see this as a change going forward. But we'll have more information as that stuff goes along.
Kevin, before you advance, I just kind of want to underscore the points you just made because we did get a lot of questions through our Zoom registration about this. So the changes you see on the screen for the 2024 APR form related to streamlined ministerial approval, SB9, and data reporting, I mean, all of those seem like overall minor changes and don't really affect what jurisdictions need to report in terms of units. It's more housekeeping, cleanups, and things like that. But those other changes that are more significant related to historic districts, related to reporting units by opportunity area, and even beyond that, looking at new income categories. Those are all for future APRs and future housing element cycles. So if anyone has any questions, put them in the chat and we'll try to clarify. But I just wanted to kind of reiterate the points Kevin was making because we did get a lot of questions on both of those subjects. So I'll turn it back over to you, Kevin. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Matt. Thanks for emphasizing that and also presenting it in a clear, more concise way. Cool. Well, I think now that we covered that, I'll get into the portal. We'll talk about account registration. One thing going into this is, so you can still submit via email. It's an important thing to remember. But with this new online portal, the big change is that you will have individual accounts. They're jurisdiction accounts, and then you will have individual accounts associated with your name that are then tied to that jurisdiction account. Previously, with our other online portal, we had one set of credentials per jurisdiction that we would just share out. Well, now you're going to have an individual account. Consultants will have individual accounts. Oops. We lost the slides, Matt. Just, you know. And not only will there be individual accounts, there will be a primary account for each jurisdiction that'll help prove subsequent jurisdictions, or subsequent user accounts. One of the reasons there's this enhanced security is this new system is combining our financial side with our planning side, and they have the financial side has some stricter requirements. So we're here to help you navigate that. If you can't find a primary user to approve your account, we can help approve that. But with that, just want to preface this all with kind of that explanation and that background. So when you're creating an account, this is a lot like your personal life. You sign up for a new app or a new website. You go follow the link to the portal, click create an account. You'll provide some initial basic information, your name, email. This is important. Select your role. Everyone's an applicant unless you're a consultant. So for jurisdiction staff, go ahead and put applicant there. Then once that goes through, you'll get an email. So close out the browser, go get your confirmation email, click the link. It'll bring you back. You'll create a strong password. I'm sure you all know how to do that by now. I think don't repeat passwords. No one ever does that, right? So create your password. You'll get this window here. The welcome screen. Then you're going to put in your jurisdiction. And once you do that, ask for some additional information. This is another kind of like earlier where there was the applicant or consultant. Here, there's an important checkbox. You want to specify that you are submitting planning documents because there's that financial side for grants and loans. So check the box for planning here. Then there's some legal stuff that we all totally read. You'll check that box. And then you'll get a confirmation window here, and then you can click return to login. Now here's where some of y'all might, hopefully it goes smooth, and some of you might hit some snags. There, once you've done this, your primary user for your jurisdiction should get a notification say, hey, so-and-so's creating an account for your city or county, and they should be able to approve you. If there isn't a primary user, that's where we can step in and help. If you're having any issues at all, just we have a inbox set up. Just reach out to us and we'll help you get this squared away, because we've already heard from some jurisdictions saying like, hey, that person's no longer here, so they moved on, or someone's on extended family leave or something. So if you have any issues that, please just let us know. Then once you're in, yeah, you'll be able to submit housing elements, APRs, sites inventory, all that. There's also consultant management. This would be for the primary users. If you have a consultant submitting on your behalf, once you're logged into the portal, you click at the top right. There's a little profile icon. You'd go to the entity profile. Once you're in there, there's a consultant manager. You'd click on that. You get a little window here. Then you put in the name of the consultant on the top window, and then click the bottom one with the little caret drop down. You should be able to find that email. This is assuming they've created an account and gone through those previous steps. So then you can, once you find them, click add, and they should be in the system. And then this is back at that entity profile page. You can see the consultant there. Sorry if I'm going a little fast, but we have these step-by-step guides, and you'll have a recording. So I just kind of want to give you the quick overview. But here you can see there's the consultant, and you can remove the consultant as well. And then once you've removed them, you should, if it was successful, you get a little successful green banner there. If your consultant is not already in the system and you're coordinating with them as they're going through their account creation, your primary user should get a notification saying, hey, this consultant is creating an account and asked to be associated with your jurisdiction, and then you can approve or reject them. But if they're already in the system, then you can just go through the consultant manager and add them. And of course, if there are any issues, please let us know. So that's consultant. One thing I'll go over quickly is tasks. So we are trying, we want to make sure everything's working as usual, but we're hoping this is, a fancy Salesforce platform. We're hoping that we get some quality of life improvements and some, things to help manage workflows. So you can't, but this is maybe a little more relevant for housing elements, but you can be assigned tasks from HCD staff, and then you can change all your views to your tasks, all tasks, recent tasks. There's a lot of functionality in there. So just want to give you a little heads up on that, but I won't spend too much time on it. You could see there's task details. You can add files associated with the task, mark complete, all kinds of stuff. And then like social media, when you log in, not only are there email notifications, but when you log in, you'll have a little bell there, and you can see that you have upcoming tasks or tasks were assigned to you. Well, let's get to the APRs. So once you're you got your account, you're associated with the jurisdiction, you have access. This part's pretty easy. You'll see at the very top, there's HE/APR upload. You click that, then you get these nice buttons. Click upload APR. You put in your jurisdiction. If you're jurisdiction staff, you're only going to see yours. You don't have to go through the alphabet. Then you have your year. Consultants may have, a couple extra jurisdictions there. Then you're going to do the planning period. If it's a split planning's period year, then it should give you the option to select both planning periods. But usually you should, just have the one. So you select that. Then you get the APR upload prompt. You get that window. You can drag and drop, or you can click the button and navigate to the file. You get kind of a pre-upload progress bar and a green check. then it brings you back to that initial window and you should see your file there. If it's not the right file, you know, accidentally grabbed the wrong one. I know I've done that a few times. Yeah, you can't swap out the file, just cancel and start over. It's only a few steps. Then once you click next, should say finish. If you've used our previous portal, you know that you get an accept or reject right away. With this, you're going to get a processing notification. And you'll also get an email saying, thank you for your upload, we're processing it. There's the email there. Now, if you go back into the portal, it should create a record from your upload, and you'll see the details on it, the file name, the submitter, and the status. So if you're impatient and you want to know how it's doing, you can just, I guess, refresh. It'll take, you know, up to 10 minutes, maybe a little bit longer for the larger jurisdictions with bigger files. But then eventually you should get a notification. I mean, you can go in there and refresh, but you should get an email saying that your file was APR was uploaded successfully, or if there was an error. And if you get an error, you'll get the email. You click on the link, and it'll send you back into the portal. You'll have this details page about the upload, and it'll generate an error file, and you can try to, if you think if you want to take a look, you're more than welcome to. But you also, at this point, if you're like, I don't know what's going on, always just reach out to us, and we can help you get those errors squared away and get you online. Yes, and let's see. And then here again, new fancy portal, you can go back and see all of your APRs. You can change the view. Sometimes I've gone in there, or especially if I cleared the cache, but depending on our test environment, I've gone in and it defaults to recently viewed or recently, you know, accessed. And if you haven't done anything yet, there might not be anything there. But then if you click the little caret and change the view to all, maybe you'll see the record. So, but then you can customize it. I think from there, I have a colleague, Fidel, from the housing element side, and he was going to talk about some. Were we able to get Fidel in to talk
I
about?
think we're not able to get Fidel in just yet. I've seen some emails troubleshooting back and forth, so you might have to channel your accountability framework. I know that's not your main role. Um,
Yeah, mostly here there's a little more. Table D kind of used to be a copy and paste. I think it was the focus of the APRs been the permitting data, the quantitative data, but there's going to be some extra attention paid to the qualitative side from some of the housing element reviewers. So we're coordinating with them. So you know, looking at go in there, update the status if you can, and try to make it a little bit more current, maybe put a little more effort in. And here I am, I guess, it's the terrible way of saying it because I'm on the spot, but we're, reach out to us if you have any questions about Table D, and then we can get you can always start with the APR box, inbox, or even me personally, and then we can get you in touch with the right folks. So yeah, sorry about that. And I think this is all because I shared the wrong link. But it happens. All right. So another thing I'll mention is the online portal. We have the same the web page has not changed, where you're going to go access the form, the instructions, the FAQ. That's all updated. We have the new affordability calculator. That should be online as of this week. That'll help. If you have non-deed restricted units that are at income levels below, above, moderate, we ask for an explanation in column AN that can help you with that. And of course, if you have any issues, please let us know. But yeah, I think that covers everything. Again, you can submit via email, but we encourage you to at least go through the account creation and get set up, so that is an option for you. And yeah, maybe at least try the first upload. If you haven't run into errors or anything, then come to us via email. But I think that covers it. And then I'll just leave this slide up for a sec so folks can read it. But
yeah, maybe I can add a little bit of
go for it,
background and do my best to communicate some of the points I've heard from HCD. For those of you who may or may not be aware, Fidel Herrera is the Proactive Housing Accountability Senior Manager at HCD. His role is really taking a look at your APRs, looking at your programs, and making sure you're fulfilling the commitments in your housing element by date. So again, I'm doing my best to give you information without putting words into HCD's mouth here. But I did have a chance to attend a presentation by Fidel at the APA conference, and he really emphasized, that this is your chance to show your progress, provide updates to HCD. And right on cue, it looks like Fidel is here. So maybe I could stop guessing and we can get Fidel up here. Fidel, are you able to hear us? Fidel, are you there?
Matt, I think we're still having that issue getting Fidel into the meeting.
All right, I saw his
So,
name pop up, so I was hopeful
yeah.
it had been resolved. The other points, I do want to share are, um, if you have programs and commitments identified in your certification letter, pay extra attention to those. Usually those are kind of your rezone commitments and things like that HCD is going to pay special attention to. And then in addition to that, I think Fidel just kind of emphasized HCD wants to work with you, reach out with questions, and demonstrate progress to the best of your ability to give them updates. So, yeah, I think that's kind of all I'm able to share on reporting of programs, but we'll play a much bigger role. So I think that's it in terms of presentation. I haven't seen too many questions come through the chat, but if you have any questions now's a chance for us to respond to those. So ask away. You should be able to unmute yourself if you prefer to do it that way. I do see a question here about whether this meeting will be recorded. Yes, it will be recorded and put up on the SANDAG HAP TA website. So you will be able to view it if you have questions or if someone wasn't able to make it today. Let me share my screen. We've got a question about opportunity areas. So again, there is new legislation relating to APRs that in the future will require reporting units not only by affordability, but also their location within opportunity areas. Opportunity areas are a tool that the state and HCD use for fair housing purposes. And are defined by the California Tax Credit Allocation Commission. So that is usually pretty easy to find with a Google. Thank you, Kevin, for putting that link in the map or link to the maps in the chat. And I think we did get I hear a question from other jurisdictions through the webinar HCD presented through ABAG, similar presentation about what would happen if opportunity areas change in the future. And I think the direction was, use the current reporting year opportunity area map. So for 2024, Kevin put in the link, but just kind of noting because they do change from time to time. So yeah. And then let me share my screen here again. Do also want to remind you all and ask on behalf of SANDAG to also submit, in addition to uploading your APR form to HCD Connect, you will also need to, will that require a separate email to OPR, Kevin, as well? Or does that fulfill that requirement? So you still have to email it to OPR?
I believe so. We were hoping actually to coordinate with OPR and have them provide some slides or some information, but they're I guess very much involved with the wildfire effort. So I think an email to OPR should take care of it for now. But I think we might be reaching out with some new information if they have if any changes on their end. But for now, yeah, just keep it at an email.
Okay. And yeah,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes,
thank you for. So
yeah.
is the email? Can someone, Rebecca, perhaps, or Kevin, can you confirm the email address based on the change? Is it still apr@opr.ca.gov? What is the email? So I'll keep going while someone tracks down that answer and we confirm if there are any changes. Thank you, Chelsea. OPR at APR, opr.apr@opr.ca.gov. So that's in the chat. And yes, they did change their name to Land Use and Climate. I forget what the I stands for. Someone help me out there.
Innovation?
Innovation? Okay. Thank you. And then in addition to sending it to OPR, please also send it to SANDAG. That helps with data collection and reporting for SANDAG here in the San Diego region as well. So would appreciate that at the same time. In addition to kind of annual progress report, technical assistance we're providing, we do have some resources we published last year related to no net loss. So if that's something you're paying attention to, we have published a no net loss tracking spreadsheet tool, some example findings as part of project approval related to no net loss.
Matt,
and you can, yes.
we are not seeing your screen right now.
Thank you. How about now?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, so example, no net loss tracker that you can use to track units approved on housing element sites. And Rebecca, if you wouldn't mind, and if you're able to put the link to that in the chat, our index or the TA website directly, appreciate that. And then more related to annual progress report. So in addition to the webinar today, we are offering both drop-in office hours between 11 and 11:30 every other week, really through March. So as you go through the APR process, if you have questions, if issues come up, we'll be available on the dates listed on the screen. So starting next week, next Wednesday at 11, you could drop in, ask questions, and kind of will be available to troubleshoot any issues. In addition to that, you can book an appointment directly with the TA team if you'd rather have some one-on-one support, something you can plan around, or want something that's not in a more public forum. That's another way we're available to assist you. And beyond APRs and no net loss, we've met with a lot of jurisdictions to discuss local staffing assistance that SANDAG is providing through the technical assistance program. So if your jurisdiction hasn't had a chance to meet with us or hasn't scheduled a meeting, we'd really like to discuss how we can help you beyond APRs and no net loss and customize some support for your jurisdiction. So if you're interested, please reach out to housing@sandag.org and we can set something up. So I think that's really it in terms of presentation and information. A couple of the links went out in the chat to the index of technical resources that has everything that has been published through the SANDAG Housing Acceleration Program technical assistance, and then also a link to book office hours as well. And I think Carrie will send out as well a reminder for the drop-in office hours. So you don't need to register. You can just jump on a Zoom meeting for that. So any
Matt,
other questions? Go ahead, Kevin.
Just piggybacking off all that support you're providing. I mean, you can meet with us too. I don't know. Maybe we should say that more often. Well, I'll volunteer myself. I won't speak for the other folks at HC, but I you know, it's not unusual for us to meet one-on-one with a jurisdiction and provide you know, any kind of assistance. Sometimes it's, hey, I have a bunch of rows and the form's locked and I just want to copy and paste it, make my life easier. I did that recently. They just because they had an Excel spreadsheet that was almost close to an APR, but not quite right. So, you know, there are little things we can do. So don't be shy. More than happy to help.
All right, did get a question here from Nicole about Table C. So related to Table C, could you please provide further clarification on the definition of realistic capacity for sites without a target project? How would a figure between the provided maximum minimum be estimated?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That may be a come back to you on that one. Well, at least for me. I don't know if y'all.
So I'll try to answer that one. Table C is the rezone sites, correct, Kevin? And so there are some rules that govern what you need to assume for realistic capacity on your rezone sites. It generally is the minimum density. So when you're rezoning sites, to say you have to rezone sites that have a minimum density of 20 units per acre, that's the density that you would assume for realistic density on rezone sites.
Thank you, Chelsea. And Nicole, if you do want to have a follow-up conversation on that, please reach out. Any other questions? I know some people joined a little later and may have missed some of the beginning part of the presentation. But if you have any questions about APRs, we'll hang out for a couple more minutes. But if we don't see any, I'm not going to keep everyone here either. So,
hey, Matt, this is Rob from
hey,
Carlsbad.
Rob.
Chelsea, one follow-up question on that. So for our rezone sites, we do have minimums, but we also in our EIR evaluated densities that are above the minimum. So if we did that, would the minimum still be your interpretation?
My understanding is that for HCD's purpose of calculating realistic capacity on rezone sites, you need to rely on the minimum density of that zone. So it's different from your assumptions on other housing element sites where you can demonstrate that there's a density other than the minimum. For rezone sites, you're supposed to be relying on the minimum density that you set for that zone, regardless of what assumptions you used in your environmental report.
Hi, Chelsea. I want to provide some clarification on my question. The reason I asked about the realistic capacity is because in the immediate columns before that, we are reporting both the minimum and maximum density. So I figured that the realistic capacity would be something different.
We can follow up on that, but whenever I've worked with jurisdictions on rezone programs, the direction from HCD is that you should be assuming realistic capacity based on that new minimum that's required by your rezone program. That's how you determine how many acres need to be rezoned. It's based on that, the minimum density that you set. And we've specifically run into that issue with them in the past where a jurisdiction was using something other than the minimum density. So, they set a new density range of 20 to 30, and they were assuming 24 units per acre for their rezone program, and they were rezoning acreage based on that 24, but they in fact needed to use that 20 unit per acre minimum. But this is something maybe we can get an official opinion on and follow up just to confirm.
Okay, sure, that sounds great.
Looks like others are interested in the answer to that question, so maybe we can pursue
let's get a formal response.
Yep. And then similarly, on that same note of rezoning, Chelsea, is there a minimum capacity, or how do you calculate gross or net acreage?
I don't think HCD gets into the details, into the weeds on that. So that's for your jurisdiction to figure out.
And I think part of the rationale of whether it's realistic or not is my guess too. A couple other questions in the chat, moving on from rezones. Kevin, there's a question about JADUs and if they're counted.
Yeah, they certainly can count. I believe that would depend if it meets the definition of a unit. We basically use the census definition of a housing unit. So so there might be a little more conversation on that. But if it has like a kitchenette and a bathroom, probably. But if you want, just email us, give us some more information on those units, and yeah, it's more than likely that they will, but there might be some caveats to that. And then for SB9, John's question on SB9, for the category of the structure type, I put SFD, single family detached. I think for since SB9, those are typically on existing single family. All right, so. Yeah, I think that would be fine. Hopefully that answers John's question. But yeah, it sounds like we're getting happy to set. Chelsea, you probably know folks at HCD who work more on the net loss and the rezones. Yeah, because that gets into bleeds into the house element team, and is definitely out of my wheelhouse. But yeah, Chris, if you want to follow up on your particular JADUs, yeah, we can talk about that.
Not in the chat, but a question from someone who registered, and their question when they registered was about whether in Table A, should ministerial projects be reported in there? Are those considered an entitlement?
Yeah, I think those should be reported in Table A. I believe there's even an option to report if it's discretionary or ministerial. Yeah, I would include those in Table A, for sure. Because sometimes it'll be both, right? Or it'll be like if the first thing they see on a project is an application for a building permit, that'll also go in Table A, because that's, that would be considered
the entitlement.
Yeah, so yeah, also included in Table A. Yeah. And we have all the verification on our back end to make sure things aren't double counted. So sometimes it's more information is better than less.
We did also get a question or two on changed entitlements. So if someone submitted an application maybe year before last and then resubmitted and the number of units changed, do they need to re-report that entitlement approval if the change occurred this year?
That's a great question, and we just had a call with another jurisdiction about this. Sometimes it might. We may just want to have a call and talk it through, because I think for this particular jurisdiction, we ended up deciding that submitting them as new was the way to go, because they had only been reported in Table A previously. So if that's the case, we may want to just do new, but then we also want to make sure if it's basically a new project, we don't want it to affect the jurisdiction's timeline and make it look like they have this long development pipeline, because it really is a different, like but if it's really kind of the same project with just a few changes, we may just want to go back. So that's kind of a case by case situation depending on the project.
Okay.
Sorry, which not the most satisfying answer, but we'll certainly work through that with jurisdictions.
No, I think it sounds like it's a little bit of a gray area on when it's really a new project or a revision to existing, entitlements. So
yeah, that happened with one jurisdiction where they're like, hey, we have this like crazy long development pipeline, but it's the same parcel, but it's a new project. So we had to kind of like break them apart by changing like the address, or we kind of ad hoc figured out a way to separate them, because it was not the same project. And the jurisdiction, that's why you get credit for issued building permits, because you've done everything you can, right? And it's not your fault, like certain things fall through.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone in attendance? Not seeing any. Again, just a reminder of our other technical assistance we're offering with the APR office hours drop-in starting, we started last week, but we have them again next week for drop-in office hours from 11 to 11:30. You can also book an appointment. The link to do that is in the chat. Reminder to submit your APR as well to SANDAG, in addition to HCD and OPR. And then again, a reminder on no net loss resources available through the TA program. I'm assuming most of you are signed up for the SANDAG TA email list. If you have colleagues or others that are not and you think they'd benefit from that, please sign up. There's a link on the slide. We'll try and get that into the chat. And if you have any other questions, thoughts, ideas of how we can provide technical assistance, you can always email housing@sandag.org or contact Carrie Simmons directly. Her email is on the screen here, but I'm assuming a lot of you have that. And then a couple questions from Rob in here related to ministerial versus discretionary and CEQA. Would decision-making body or exemptions be discretionary? Do you want to answer that?
That's the first time getting that one. So I'll get back to you on that one. I don't know if folks have anything. The LEAP one's easy. Even if it's a closeout that was in 2024, I'd report that. We had that question recently from another city, and so yeah, if that was the activity, was the closing out, go ahead and report that. We'd appreciate that. But yeah, Matt, Chelsea, any thoughts on the?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Maybe we could talk it through a little bit about the ministerial versus discretionary.
Sure. Hi, Chelsea. I can provide some clarification on that question. In our case with our jurisdiction, we are looking at using the decision-making body as the authoritative issuing, or the person who will be issuing the CEQA exemptions in this case. So we're looking at projects that are typically ministerial projects, but would the CEQA exemption or maybe something like a building permit become discretionary? They kind of fall through that gap. But I think that might be a question that's a little bit more specific and geared specifically towards our jurisdiction, so we can bring that up in office hours next week or a separate appointment.
You're on mute, Chelsea.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was going to suggest that maybe we talk that through in office hours so we can understand the specifics of that. I think we haven't quite seen that before.
All right. Any other questions? Kevin, anything in conclusion before we wrap up?
Good luck. And no, yeah, don't be shy. We're happy to help. And yeah, we know it's quite an undertaking, and there's all kinds of challenges that come up with it. So happy to help, and really appreciate this forum and what SANDAG does. With having y'all together with the office hours, and I think we'll be there, or if you want us to be there, we can be there, or if you don't want us there, if you want to like talk it out without us in the room, we understand. But yeah, and just appreciate y'all being here today and all your hard work. I mean, the APR data set's a really special data set. I had the chance of meeting with other states a couple years ago, and they're all pretty envious. And it's I just kind of, I guess, assumed everyone else had it, but we have this really wonderful, robust data set on housing development. So and that starts at the on the ground at the local level with the data that's being reported to us. So we really appreciate that. And we're always looking for feedback as well. Any ideas out there to make it better for the next year.
Well, thank you.
And I think we are doing I think we're gonna have a survey this year going out. So put that on your radar. Yeah, that could be your opportunity to give us some feedback. So just want that on your radar. I think more information will come out. We'll coordinate with y'all, maybe some outreach. But that'll be after the deadline once everything's done. Not to put something else on your plate.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for all the information, walking us through the changes to the APR, HCD Connect, and answering questions today. And thank you, Chelsea, for trying to answer some of these complicated questions. Carrie, anything in conclusion? If not, that's okay. Because I think we're close to time. I don't see any other questions. So I want to thank everyone for participating today and joining us. Hopefully this was helpful. And if you do have more questions as you move through the process, again, we've got the office hours. So you can email us or join us in the office hours. And I'll also mention, I think we'll be planning for some additional technical assistance around annual progress reports as we start to think about wrapping up 2025 and the new changes that will come for the APR next year as well. So again, thank you for joining us today for our webinar. Take care, everyone. Bye.